Hello, dear YouTube viewers, I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's start our video. The night begins with quiet excitement. Daniel stands beside Clara as they enter the ballroom, his heart filled with pride. The room shimmers under crystal chandeliers, and soft jazz plays in the background. Waiters glide through the crowd, serving champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Everyone looks polished, confident, expensive. Daniel feels slightly underdressed, but he brushes off the thought. Tonight isn't about him. It's about Clara. He watches her light up as colleagues greet her. Warm smiles, quick hugs, congratulations for her recent promotion. Daniel stays close, letting her have her moment. She deserves it. For years, he's seen her come home exhausted, surviving on caffeine and deadlines. Tonight feels like her reward. Then he sees Victor Hale, the man everyone whispers about with equal parts admiration and fear. Victor moves through the crowd with the easy confidence of someone who owns it. He wears success like armor. When he spots Clara, his face breaks into a broad smile. Clara. Finally. His voice carries across the room. He strides toward them, extending a hand toward Daniel. And this must be the husband I've heard so much about. Daniel smiles politely, taking the handshake. It's firm, almost performative, the kind meant to test boundaries. Victor's eyes don't leave his. You're a lucky man, he says, then turns to Clara. And I'm a lucky boss. The line earns a few chuckles from nearby guests. Daniel laughs lightly, trying to keep it civil. Clara shifts awkwardly beside him. Thank you, Victor, she says quickly, leading Daniel toward their table. But the tone lingers, something territorial in it, something possessive. Dinner begins, and Victor takes his seat at the center table, surrounded by department heads and their spouses. Clara and Daniel sit nearby, close enough for him to watch the subtle power play unfold. Victor makes jokes that everyone laughs at a little too loudly. He teases Clara for working too hard, praises her dedication, and occasionally touches her arm as he speaks. Each touch is small, a fleeting brush, a guiding hand, but Daniel feels every one like a spark of electricity. Clara laughs politely each time, glancing at Daniel with an apologetic smile. He gives her a reassuring nod. It's okay, his expression says. Don't worry. But his chest feels tight. Around them, the conversations flow about deals, markets, and luxury homes. Daniel doesn't fit in here, and he knows it. When people ask what he does, he answers honestly. I write. Mostly freelance. They nod with polite disinterest before turning back to Victor's booming stories about million-dollar sales. Victor dominates the room effortlessly. Every laugh, every glance, bends toward him. He's magnetic in a way that commands obedience, not admiration. Daniel sees how people respond, eager, deferential. Even Clara seems caught between respect and discomfort. At one point, Victor leans toward her, voice just loud enough for Daniel to hear. You really outdid yourself this quarter. I should take you to dinner to celebrate. Strictly professional, of course. The table laughs. Clara's smile stiffens. Daniel swallows hard, forcing a smile. He tells himself this is normal office banter, that Victor's arrogance is just part of the corporate world. But something inside him twists. It's the way everyone laughs along, how no one notices the unease in Clara's eyes, or how easily her achievements are turned into a public display. The night stretches on. Toasts are made, awards handed out, and the laughter grows louder with each drink. Daniel watches, silent. He feels like a ghost at his own wife's table, present, yet unseen. As dessert is served, he places the small bouquet of flowers beside Clara's plate. She glances at him, touched. You didn't have to bring these, she whispers. I wanted to, he replies softly. You earned them. But even as he says it, his gaze drifts back to Victor, standing across the room, surrounded by admiration, his hand resting casually on the back of Clara's chair whenever he passes. The gesture looks innocent enough, but Daniel knows better. He hides his discomfort behind polite smiles, careful laughter, and sips of champagne. But beneath the surface, something steady begins to stir. Not jealousy, but awareness. Awareness of how easily kindness can turn into control, and how laughter can hide humiliation. By the end of the evening, Daniel's smile feels like a mask he can't take off. He keeps it on for Clara's sake, but inside, something burns quietly, a slow, deliberate fire waiting for air. Daniel's chest tightens as laughter ripples through the room. The sound feels deafening, not because it's loud, but because it's cruel. Each laugh is a blade scraping across his pride, each camera flash a spark igniting the ache inside his ribs. He sits still, staring at Victor, the man on stage, basking in attention that isn't his to claim. For a moment, Daniel's mind blanks. He looks at Clara, whose forced smile is cracking at the edges. Her eyes dart toward him, a silent apology, a plea for understanding. Her lips tremble as she mouths the words, "I'm sorry." But no one sees her distress. They only see the powerful CEO making a joke, and a woman too polite to contradict him. Victor raises his glass. To Clara, he declares, for being more than a team player. She's been my inspiration, and yes, my date for the evening. The crowd laughs again. Some cheer. A few exchange knowing smirks. The band even plays a short celebratory tune. Clara's hand tightens around her napkin until it nearly tears. Daniel forces a breath, the champagne in his throat turning bitter. His vision blurs, not from alcohol, but from the raw humiliation pressing against his chest. He looks around the table. Colleagues whisper behind their glasses, avoiding eye contact. No one defends her. No one acknowledges him. It's as if he's ceased to exist. The husband turned spectator to his own wife's public belittlement. Daniel's thoughts spiral. If I speak, they'll call me insecure. If I stay silent, they'll think I agree. The room grows warmer, heavier, suffocating. Every nerve in his body screams for him to act, to reclaim something, his voice, his dignity, his place beside Clara. But then he remembers Clara's words from earlier that week. Please, Daniel, just be supportive tonight. Victor can be intense. Don't make a scene. He swallows hard. Maybe she's right. Maybe silence is strength. Maybe this will all blow over. But when he glances back at Victor, he sees it, that smirk. The kind that says, I own this moment. I own her respect. I own your silence. The sound of clinking glasses jolts him back. Victor steps closer to their table, grinning as he extends a glass toward Clara. Come on, Clara, a toast. Let's give the people a smile for the cameras. Clara hesitates, but the audience watches, expecting compliance. Under that crushing gaze, she forces a smile and lightly taps her glass to his. The cameras flash again. That's when Daniel feels it, the breaking point. He doesn't stand up yet, but something inside him shifts. He studies the faces around him, the co-workers laughing out of fear, the assistants pretending not to notice, the executives enabling cruelty disguised as charm. This isn't just about Victor. It's about the entire room choosing comfort over conscience. Victor raises his microphone again. Let's get a round of applause for the woman who keeps me on my toes. More laughter. Clara whispers, please, stop, barely audible over the noise. Victor leans closer to her, pretending not to hear. Daniel grips his chair, fingers white with tension. He can't breathe. The air smells of perfume and champagne, thick, artificial, and choking. His reflection in the wine glass looks like someone he doesn't recognize. Quiet, defeated, small. He's had enough. For the first time that night, he doesn't think about the consequences. He doesn't think about careers, reputations, or appearances. He thinks only of Clara's trembling hands and the hollow ache in his own chest. He looks at her again. She's still frozen in that polite smile, the one women wear when they're trying to survive humiliation with grace. Her eyes, however, tell the truth. She's breaking. And that's when Daniel knows silence isn't noble anymore. It's betrayal. He exhales slowly, the decision solidifying in his mind like steel cooling in fire. He feels calm now, not the calm of surrender, but of certainty. The crowd continues to cheer, oblivious to the shift at table 7. Victor makes another joke, this time about how Clara even finishes his sentences. Daniel finally moves. He sets down his glass with deliberate care, the soft clink loud enough to draw a few glances. Clara turns to him, alarm in her eyes. "Daniel," she whispers. He doesn't speak. Not yet. He just looks at Victor, really looks at him, and in that gaze is the promise of something Victor doesn't expect. The end of his control. The laughter fades slowly, replaced by murmurs. Victor notices the change in atmosphere and looks back at Daniel, eyebrow raised. "What's the matter, Jennings?" he says lightly. "Don't tell me you're jealous of a joke?" The crowd chuckles nervously. Daniel smiles, small, calm, devastatingly steady. "Oh, not jealous," he says softly, though his voice carries. "Just wondering when a man stopped needing permission to humiliate a woman in public." A hush falls. Glasses pause midair. The music stops. Even the waiters freeze. Victor's smirk falters for the first time. Clara's eyes widen. Fear, gratitude, disbelief all colliding at once. The breaking point has arrived, not as an explosion, but as a quiet act of defiance that silences an entire room. And in that silence, Daniel finally breathes. Daniel's hand doesn't tremble as he stands, but the room feels it, the shift in gravity, the quiet before a storm no one saw coming. The music fades. Conversations die mid-sentence. Every head turns. Clara's breath catches. "Daniel, please," she whispers, her voice small, terrified, not of him, but of the world watching. He gives her a single, reassuring look. "Trust me." Then, with the unhurried confidence of a man who's done being small, he pushes back his chair and walks toward the stage. His footsteps echo sharply on the marble floor, cutting through the clinking of glasses and the nervous rustle of tuxedos. Victor chuckles into the mic, masking unease with arrogance. Well. Looks like the husband wants a turn at the spotlight." A few people laugh, uncertain. Daniel stops at the edge of the stage. He doesn't answer. He simply raises a hand, calm, steady, and Victor, surprised by the composure, actually passes him the microphone. "Be my guest," Victor says smugly. "Let's hear from the man of the hour." Daniel steps forward. He doesn't stand where Victor stood. He takes one deliberate step to the side, distancing himself from that arrogance. The lights warm his face, and for a brief moment, he's no longer the outsider at his wife's company party. He's the only one in the room who looks real. He starts quietly. "I didn't plan to speak tonight," he says, his voice clear, controlled. "But since we're celebrating excellence, maybe we should remember what that word actually means." A faint ripple moves through the audience. Victor folds his arms, smirking again, but it's forced now. Daniel glances at Clara, his gaze softens. "I came here proud of my wife. I know how much she's sacrificed for this job, how many nights she worked late, how much of herself she gave to be taken seriously in a place where being good isn't always enough." He turns to the audience. "And I thought tonight would be about honoring that effort, not mocking it." A hush spreads. Someone at the back shifts uncomfortably. Another coughs to fill the silence. Daniel's tone deepens, the words measured but heavy. "But what I saw tonight wasn't a celebration. It was a joke, one that made a woman's dignity the punchline. And I think most of you laughed not because it was funny, but because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't." The words hang there like a challenge. The crowd freezes, unsure where to look. Victor's smile tightens. "Now, come on." Daniel raises a hand, calm but firm. "You've had your turn, Mr. Hale." The authority in his voice stops Victor mid-sentence. The man who commands boardrooms suddenly looks small beneath the weight of someone's quiet truth. Daniel turns back to Clara. "You don't deserve to be reduced to someone's prop. You've earned every ounce of respect in this room, not because of who notices you, but because of who you are." Her lips tremble, her eyes shining, tears that finally fall, not from shame, but relief. Daniel looks out over the audience, once more. "And for anyone who thinks I'm being dramatic, you're right. Love is dramatic. It's messy. It's human. But it should never be something to laugh at." For a long moment, no one speaks. Even the waiters have stopped moving. Daniel inhales, his voice softening to a near whisper. "So, enjoy your gala. Enjoy the lights, the music, the applause. But I'm done pretending that silence is grace. He sets the microphone down gently, the click echoing like a full stop on a sentence that's been waiting years to end. Then he turns toward Clara, extending his hand. The entire ballroom seems to hold its breath. Clara hesitates for only a moment, long enough for every camera, every spectator, to feel the weight of her decision. Then she stands. Her hand meets his, trembling at first, then firm. Together, they face the crowd. Two people who've finally remembered who they are. As they walk toward the exit, the crowd parts in silence. The same people who laughed minutes ago now lower their eyes. No applause, no music, just the sound of truth filling the space Victor once owned. Daniel doesn't look back. He doesn't need to. But Clara does. One final glance at the stage, at the man who thought he could define her worth. Then she turns forward, shoulders squared, walking beside the only person who refused to stay quiet. And for the first time all night, the silence feels like victory. Outside, the cold air hits them like a baptism, a sting that feels clean after the suffocating warmth of the ballroom. The muffled sound of laughter and music fades behind them as the doors close. Clara stops on the pavement, trembling. Her makeup is streaked, her eyes wide with shame and disbelief. "I didn't know what to do," she says, voice cracking. "I froze, Daniel. I just froze." Daniel looks at her, the anger already fading into tenderness. "You don't have to explain," he says softly. "I just couldn't sit there and let him claim something he never earned." Clara breaks then, the sobs raw, unrestrained. Daniel holds her, the night wrapping around them like a fragile truce. The drive home is quiet, their hands intertwined across the console. No music, no words, just the hum of the tires and the shared rhythm of their breathing. Days later, Clara types her resignation letter. Her fingers hover over the keyboard before she hits send. The relief is instant, like exhaling after years of holding her breath. Whispers ripple through the office. Some call Daniel reckless, unprofessional. Others quietly call him brave. A few women message Clara privately. "You did the right thing. Thank you for showing us it's okay to walk away." At home, the tension slowly unwinds. The silence between them changes, no longer heavy with unspoken fear, but light with trust. Daniel cooks dinner, Clara laughs more freely, and when they talk, it's not about surviving but rebuilding. Their marriage doesn't feel perfect. It feels real. Not built on pride or performance, but on the quiet, unshakable respect that only comes after choosing truth over comfort. Months later, the noise of the gala feels like a distant dream, or maybe a nightmare finally fading. Daniel sits in a quiet cafe, his laptop open, the soft hum of chatter around him. Across the table, Clara is smiling, a soft, genuine smile, as she reads through an email. "It's official," she says, eyes shining. "They want me to lead the new marketing team. A real offer this time from people who actually respect me." Daniel looks up from his writing, pride and warmth mingling behind his calm expression. "You earned it," he says simply. As Clara sips her coffee, Daniel's inner voice narrates, almost like he's writing the final line of his own story. People think strength means shouting, but sometimes it's the quiet truth that shakes the room. He glances at the newspaper on the counter. A small headline reads, "Victor Hale under review for workplace misconduct." A quiet satisfaction fills him. Justice, slow but certain, has found its way. Clara catches his eye, raising her cup. "You know," she says softly, "that night, you didn't have to say anything." Daniel smiles. "Maybe not, but I'm glad I did." They clink cups, and this time, the laughter that follows is pure, unforced, and free. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please subscribe our channel. Awesome visual story.